Hello, my name is Thomas Durand, and in this presentation, I will be covering the 2017 Equifax breach. I will start with a brief overview of the company Equifax, since most of us do not interact with this company, but most likely have our data in their system. Equifax is an American multinational consumer credit reporting agency. Credit reporting agencies make money off of collecting and selling information on individuals' borrowing habits. Banks and lenders may use this information to evaluate whether an individual should qualify for a loan and to decide factors such as what interest rate should be set at. Equifax is one of the largest credit reporting agencies in the world, dealing with the information of over 800 million individuals and 80 million firms. It is important to note that an individual does not directly give their information to Equifax. It is collected from credit card companies and other lenders and sellers. From May to July of 2017, over a period of 76 days, a group of hackers gained shell access to the Equifax servers and carried out the largest known theft of personal information. The data of over 140 million Americans was stolen, as well as 15 million British and 10,000 Canadian citizens. This information was stored in plain text. The attackers had obtained shell access and were able to send a series of queries over a 76-day period to steal the data from the servers. The data was sent in 10 megabyte packets, passing through the Equifax firewall. Encryption allowed the attackers to stay hidden from Equifax's scans, blending them in with normal traffic. I will now go into the Apache Struts framework and the bug that allowed this breach to happen. Apache Struts is an open-source web application framework, which Equifax used on their backend. Apache is widely used, under active development, has a responsive security team maintaining it. In March of 2017, the Apache Foundation reported a security failure, CVE 2017-5638, which allowed for arbitrary code execution. It was noted that this was a very critical bug and could be executed remotely. This received a rating of 10.0 on the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures list for how dangerous it was. A fix was released on the same day the bug was identified. This bug allows for the arbitrary execution of code, which allows for code to be executed arbitrarily through the manipulation of a pointer or the injection of some commands. In this case, it was the latter of the two. I will now go in depth on the bug. First, the attacker will send an invalid content type HTTP header. The framework will detect that this content type is invalid and throw an error message. However, the content type is not escaped. It is in fact used to build the error message. Apache uses an expression language for getting and setting Java objects called Object Graph Navigation Library, or OGNL. If the individual messages was sent to an OGNL expression, everything else within the header will be treated as such. The first image is of a header with content type set as an OGNL. The second image depicts the same thing, except additional commands are also included within the set of curly brackets. All of this will be executed as an OGNL when the framework tries to construct an error message. The complexity of OGNL allows for many system commands to be run with it. This is all it takes to execute the Struts vulnerability. This is easy to do, gives the attacker a wide range of commands to execute, and avoids detection, since this all occurs within one communication channel. Equifax did not patch this bug in time. Equifax is a large company, and dealing with all this data meant that they were utilizing a wide variety of applications. There were failures in the auditing of their systems. Open source software is a double-edged sword in this case. Since Apache is an open source framework, a problem like this arises when a bug is discovered. Attackers can immediately start launching attacks. It is on those that use open source software to fix their systems as soon as possible. In February of 2020, the United States Department of Defense announced charges against 4 members of the People's Liberation Army, the military of the People's Republic of China. China has denied this claim. The attackers, Wang Qian, Shu Ke, Liu Lei, and Wu Shuyong, are wanted under charges of fraud and economic espionage, among other things. Since this was a state-sponsored action, the United States cannot do anything to get the perpetrators. According to FBI reports, the hackers used remote servers in over 20 countries to carry out the attack. In addition, the hackers used encryption and wiped out the log files daily to further obfuscate their identities. The exact methods the FBI used to figure out the hackers' identities were not disclosed in the report. Several factors have been listed by Equifax and in the Government Accountability Office report as motives behind the attack. The first being that the monetary gain from the sensitive data. Since this is financial data and social security numbers, this makes it easy for attackers to commit fraud or to sell to some third party on the black market. A second reason given is trade secrets. The secret it's obtained by the attackers having access to the back end of Equifax. They have gained much insight into how large firms store and organize their data. This attack is part of a long series of cyber attacks committed by the Chinese government and is not an isolated incident. It is important to notice that the United States has been participating in cyber warfare with China as well. The bottom right picture is of a Chinese telecom company, Huawei, announcing that they were hacked by the United States government. The top picture is of the United States government announcing the identities of the perpetrators in the Equifax hack. We know from leakers such as Edward Snowden that it is indeed the case that we carry out cyber attacks on China. The history of hostilities between China and Western powers dates to before the CCP and is too large a topic to cover in this presentation, but it should be known that it is a complex geopolitical situation. Regarding the consequence of the attack, the fallout has been huge. 145 million Americans had their personal data stolen, which resulted in class action private, state, and federal lawsuits. Government agencies, ranging from the Department of Homeland Security and FBI to the Postal Service and IRS, were involved. Eventually, Equifax settled with the Federal Trade Commission and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for a massive $700 million settlement. As per that settlement, individuals are able to file a claim with Equifax if they are a victim of fraud until January 22, 2024, and receive $125. I have included a graph of Equifax's stock price over the last 5 years and indicated when the breach happened. As you can see, the stock prices are well above their pre-breach levels. The same is true with Equifax revenue. I will conclude with a few points. The first being that this attack was entirely preventable. Many cite personal failures, for instance, the head of security at Equifax during the breach, Suzanne Malden, reportedly studied music in college and had no security degree, but this clearly extends beyond one person, as many were at fault for not patching the bug and properly auditing their software. Second, there is no sign of attacks like this stopping in the future. Beyond China, high-profile hacks have been carried out by Russia, North Korea, and Iran. This is a national security issue, and the frequency of high-profile attacks are increasing. Since this affects all of us, there are calls for changing the way that data is collected in bulk. People are beginning to ask what should be collected. For instance, the European Union passed the General Data Protection Regulation Law in 2018, which set standards for how personal data is collected and stored. At the very least, I believe we have the right for our social security numbers to not be stored in plain text. I would like to conclude with some questions for you all. First, with increasing tensions between the United States and China, what can be done to de-escalate this? Should we demand that our government not participate in these attacks and focus on security here? or should we maintain them as assurance? Second, how should we regulate the collection of data in the US? What expectations to privacy should we have in regards to our data? Thank you.